Good morning, grade 5 students, and welcome to our English video lesson. Today we are going to study Module 5 Quiz Part 2. Our lesson today is based on the lesson you studied before, but we will focus on the grammar. Before we start, let's take a look at our learning objectives for today. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to Number 1. Identify the quantifiers of countable and uncountable nouns. Number 2. Use the quantifiers correctly in speaking and in writing. For our lesson today, we will be looking at student book page 55 and workbook page 47. Make sure you open the right pages. To start our lesson, we need to recall two types of nouns. The first one is countable nouns. Do you remember what countable nouns are? Well, they are the nouns that have got singular and plural forms and can be counted. We can use a, an, or numbers before them. For example, I can say, I ate a banana. Or I can say, I ate 5 bananas. Banana is a countable noun. Now let's move to the second type of nouns, the uncountable nouns. Do you remember what uncountable nouns are? Well, they are the nouns that have only got a singular form and cannot be counted. We cannot use a, an, or numbers before them. For example, meat, milk, sugar, soup are all uncountable nouns. So we cannot say 1 meat or 3 milks or a sugar. Let's do a quick practice. Here are 2 sentences. Each sentence has one word that is underlined. I want you to read these words and decide which one is a countable noun and which is an uncountable noun. I will give you a few seconds to think. Let's start with number 1. The girl is reading a book. What type of noun is the word book? Can you count books? Yes, so the word book is countable. Let's move to the second sentence. The boy is drinking water. What type of noun is water? Can you count water? Can you say a water? No. So it is uncountable noun. Very good. Now let me ask you a very challenging question. Can we change an uncountable noun and make it countable? Take a look at these words. Tea, water, cereal, they all are uncountable nouns, right? How can I make these nouns countable? Is it possible? Guess what? Yes, it is. I can make all these nouns countable. How? Take a look at this. Tea is uncountable. But I can add the word cup before it and make it countable, like this. I had 3 cups of tea. Water is also uncountable, but I can make it countable by adding a word before it, like glass or bottle. For example, I bought 2 bottles of water. What about this word, cereal? How can we make it countable? Can you think of a word that we can use before it? Good job! We can say a bowl of cereal. So, uncountable nouns can become countable if we add a measuring word before it, like in the previous examples. There are some words, however, that are magical. They are suitable for uncountable or countable nouns. We can use these magical words with the two types of nouns. They can be used with countable nouns like sandwiches, and they can be used with uncountable nouns like milk. What are these magical words? Let's take a look together. These magical words are called quantifiers, and this is what our lesson today is about. But in our lesson today, we will not study all of the quantifiers. We will only focus on these words. We will study some, any, much, many. Do you remember what this is? This is the look box, the little red box with the very important grammar lessons. In this box, you can find the quantifiers we said we are going to focus on today. Let's read the examples together. There is some milk in the fridge. There aren't any sweets in the bag. How many glasses of water do you drink every day? How much chocolate do you eat every day? Today, we will focus on the words in the red color. We will study some, any, how many, how much. Let's start to discuss each one of them in details. So, let's start by discussing when do we use the quantifiers. We will start with some and any. As you can see in this table, we use some and any with plural countable nouns and with uncountable nouns. We use some in affirmative sentence, and we use any in questions and in negative sentences. Take a look at these examples. To summarize what we just saw in the table and to make it easier for you to learn and memorize, we will use these two happy faces. One of them has one hand and the other one has two hands. The one with the one hand is some, and the one with two hands is any. We use some with one thing only, affirmative sentences. We use any with two things, negative sentences and questions, like this example.
There are some sandwiches, but there isn't any juice. Is there any water?
How about a quick practice? Are you ready? I think you are. Take a look at these two sentences and complete them by choosing some or any. Remember, we use some with affirmative sentences and we use any with questions or negative sentences. Pause the video until you finish and come back when you are ready. Let's start with sentence number 1. There isn't milk in the fridge. The answer should be any. Why? Because this is a negative sentence. Very good. Let's see number 2. But there is chocolate. The answer should be some. Why? Because this is an affirmative sentence. Very good. Now let's move to the second part of our lesson. In this part, we will discuss two questions that are used to ask about the quantity of things. The first one is how many. We use how many with plural countable nouns. For example, how many hours do you sleep? How many sandwiches did you eat? The second one is how much. We use how much with uncountable nouns. For example, how much cheese do you eat every day? How much sugar do you need in your tea? For more examples, take a look at these two questions in your student book, page 55. Question number 1 starts with how many. Why did we use how many here? Because the word meals is countable noun. How many meals do you eat every day? Now let's take a look at the second question. It started with how much. Why? Because the word milk is uncountable. How much milk do you drink every day? To practice the quantifier more, please open your workbook page 47, exercise number 2. In this exercise, you have to read and complete using some, any, how much, or how many. Let's do number 1 together. What is the keyword that will help me choose one of the 4 words? That's right, cups of tea. Now let me ask you, can you count the cups of tea? Yes, you can. So it is countable. Now, is number 1 a question or a sentence? That's right, it's a question. So which one is used for questions and countable nouns? That's right, how many? So the answer will be like this. How many cups of tea did you drink yesterday? Excellent. Now, pause the video until you finish the rest of the exercise and come back when you are ready to check your answers. Ready to check your answers? Let's start with number 2. The answer is any. Why? Because this is a negative sentence. Number 3, the answer is some. Why? Because the word snacks is a countable noun. Number 4, is it a question or a sentence? It's a question. And what about the word water? Is it countable or uncountable? It's uncountable. So we will use how much. Very good. Now number 5 was a bit challenging. The answer for number 5 is any. Why? Because this is a negative sentence. Where is the word that helped me? Where is the key word? The key word is never. Did you check all your answers? Good job. You know what time it is now? It's time for us to chat. Please open your student book, page 55, exercise number 3. In this exercise, you are going to ask your classmates some questions to learn more about them. Use the ideas in the blue box to make questions and your classmates will answer you. Then, switch roles and let your classmate ask you some questions and you answer them. Now don't forget, my dear students, you can use how many to ask your classmates about countable nouns, and you can use how much to ask about uncountable nouns. For example, let's listen to this dialogue together.
How many hours do you sleep?
I sleep 8 hours every day.
Okay, let's listen to another dialogue.
How much fruit do you eat every day?
I don't eat any fruit.
Okay, now it's your turn. Pause the video until you finish asking and answering your classmates. Well done, my dear students. We have finished our lesson for today. Let's take a look at what we have done. Number 1, we identified the quantifiers of countable and uncountable nouns. Number 2, we used the quantifiers correctly in speaking and in writing. Thank you, Grade 5, for watching this video and see you soon. Goodbye.